Hello and welcome to eLearning with Erica.
In this video, we're going to take a look at the iPhone. This is an iPhone 16e, but I also have an iPhone SE3, and I'll bring that in when we have certain parts of the conversation that warrants its presence. So for now, let's go ahead and just take a walk around the device itself. So the front of the iPhone is smooth and flat, so it doesn't have any bumps. Mine has a screen protector on it, but for the most part, it's just a flat piece of glass. And on the top here, on this model, there is a notch or a cutout. So in that, you will find the camera, Face ID technology, and speaker. So it depends on the model. For example, my SE3, the screen has, I guess they call it a forehead in the tech world, but it has an area where the screen is just below it. So it doesn't necessarily have a notch per se, but you will find the speaker and the front facing camera on it. On the iPhone 15 Pro Max and other models, you'll find a dynamic island right here in that area. So you have several options depending on the model of your device. Taking a look at the left side of the device, you'll see that the 16E has an action button at the top, so it's a shorter button. And then just below it, you have two longer buttons, which are the volume buttons. So the shorter button, action button. The one just below that is the volume up button. And then the one below that is the volume down. So let's go ahead and check out the SE. And the SE has a switch. So this is your mute switch button. So you press it either to your right or to the left. And then just below that, you have your up volume and your down volume button. So back to the 16E. Like I said, the top button on the left side is the action button. And that can be programmed for as a mute switch, or you can program it to open up shortcuts, etc. Let's go to the right side of the device. And on this side, you will find a long button, and that's called the side button or the power button. So you can press it once to turn the screen on. You can press and hold it for Siri, or you can press it in conjunction with one of the volume buttons to turn the phone off. Press the side button and the top volume button, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you'll see it prompts you to slide to power the device off. Now, you also have an emergency call button, but if you don't want to do that, you can always ask Siri to basically turn your phone off. On the bottom part of the phone, you'll feel basically some holes. So you have 3 holes on this one, and then a longer rice-shaped hole, like oval shape, and then you have 3 more holes. So down here, you'll find the charging port in the middle. So that's that oval shaped one. And that's where you're going to place your cord when you're charging your device. And you have your speaker. So those tiny little round holes just to the left and right of the charging port are the speaker and microphone grills. On the back of the iPhone, for example, on this one on the top left, you have your camera lens, and to the right of that, you have your LED. So I can ask SIRI. Torch on.
It's on now.
Torch off.
It's off now.
So just below the camera area and in the very center of the back of the phone, if you run your finger across, this phone is actually kind of matte black. And then it has a shiny Apple logo in the center, so you can feel that. But that is basically just Apple's branding. Doesn't do anything special, but identify the phone as an Apple device. Now, pressing the side button on the right, you are greeted with the lock screen. And on this screen, this is like the screen before you actually open the phone. You find the date and the time. You also have the status bar items at the top. And you also have access to things like, for example, you can configure it how you want. On this one, I have the torch or the flashlight, and then the camera icon. So when I press the side button once, and then I'm going to swipe up from the bottom, very bottom of the screen, and it unlocks the phone. Now, I don't have a password on this device, but if you have a password, you would be greeted with it as soon as you try to unlock this device. For example, this is my other iPhone. I'm going to press the side button, and when I attempt to unlock it, it prompts me to use Face ID, and if it doesn't register in time, then it prompts me to put in a passcode. So again, with the 16E, I'm going to swipe up, and at the very, very top, right here on the top left and right, you have the status bar. So because this has a notch, it won't go all the way across, but that's pretty common with most phones. Even with the dynamic island, it just pretty much has a gap in the center. But on the left and right sides, here you'll find the time on the top left, and then on the right, because I don't have a SIM card right now, it just shows SOS, and then it shows the Wi-Fi icon, and then my batteries, pretty much battery percentage. So you can turn the battery percentage on to where you can, basically see a number, but I choose not to use that. But that's basically what's in that status bar item, and other things will pop up throughout your usage of the device. The middle area of your phone is the screen where you will find apps. So this is basically the biggest part of the device. And for example, you'll find apps like Messages, Phone, Calendar, YouTube, Apple TV, News, Notes, etc. On the bottom of the phone, you'll see a row of apps there. So here I have Phone, I have Safari, I have Messages, and I have Music, but that can be, modified as well. So I can remove a few of these if I want one or two, etc. I can move those around, and I can switch out which apps are featured in the dock area. If you swipe about a third of the way down the screen from the top with one finger, you'll be greeted with the search area. So here, if you want to search for other apps such as music, it will pop up. So this is just a convenient way to get to apps quickly, especially if you have a lot of apps on your phone. To get to the control center from the top right part of the phone, you're going to take one finger and swipe kind of diagonally. So from the top right corner, very, very top, and then you swipe down, you'll see your control center options. So here you can quickly access things like airplane mode, your Wi-Fi, mute, volume, screen brightness, etc. Now, if you go from the very top, more center, and swipe down, you'll be met with the notification center. So here you'll see different notifications. Here I just have one about driving mode or driving focus, and this one is a tips notification. So it just depends on which apps you're running and which apps you allow notifications for. They'll show up here. Next, there's something called the app switcher. So if you take one finger from the very bottom of the phone toward the center, and you're going to go about a quarter of the way up, so you're going to kind of like drag it. When you do that, you see that it opens up like a panels, I guess you can call it. I'm not sure what the proper name is, but you'll see that you can actually swipe through and see previously opened apps. And if you want to go to one of the apps, you can just tap and it opens. If you are used to using smartphones, you'll know that you just take a single finger and you can swipe between pages of apps. And if you want to access anything kind of like extra within the app, for example, I can press and hold an app with one finger, then it shows you more options. So play around with it. If you're new to iPhone, this is helpful. Or if you've had an iPhone for a while, this is also helpful to let you know pretty much how the device functions. If you learned something new, leave a comment below. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share. See you in the next video. Bye.